Welcome to Sculpture Studios. This is a project that we really get a lot of requests for. Ever since Aden created a couple of grease lightning cars for our school production years ago. I've solved my problems and I've seen it. No, stop. These have been on the website and people have made inquiries ever since. It's high time we made something that schools and theatre groups can actually hire out, as well as use for a particular production of grease in just a couple of weeks' time. The idea for this is to be small and compact enough to fit into smaller theatres, and so it can be broken down for backstage spaces. It's also going to be made small enough to fit into a regular transit van, and this should save on transportation costs for anyone wishing to hire. We're going to be creating one side of a scaled down 1948 Ford convertible and the front end section. This will be wheelable between a few stagehands, a few T-Birds or Burger Palace boys, and should really be the cherry on top to any small production. Liam, we're going to get some overhead lifters and some 4-barrel quads, yeah?
Keep talking. Go on. Keep talking.
Fuel injection cut off and chrome plated rods, oh yeah!
Get the money. No, get the money.
God, careful, bit of grease down there.
Grease lightning.
Grease lightning. Don't work too hard, lads. You're gonna ache. Yeah, we know what you're doing. Do you smell burning? Just burning rubber. Oh! We're obviously starting with polystyrene to carve the front end and the right hand side of the car, taking the inspiration from the concept images of the car in the movie, scaling it down to the appropriate size, and accentuating the look of that classic American car style. Aden works with nail and wire brushes to create the shape. If the door were to open, where the front would normally have a hinge, this is where the breaking point for the sculpture is going to be, that allows the car to come apart in two pieces. Grease lightning! So here we have grease lightning being foiled at the moment. So what's the purpose behind this, Aden?
The real purpose behind this is because we get lots of requests for made in Dagenham and grease and school productions. So what we decided to do is make one that is seen from the side, that's seen from that only, and then for another scene it's split right down the middle and it's only seen from the front performance.
Presumably for the drive-in movie scene where it's normally performed from the front.
Yeah, and the main idea of breaking it into two is so we can get it into a transit van quite comfortably and they can get it on stage quite nicely.
Yeah, makes it easier to manoeuvre on and off stage, particularly for school productions where they might have a smaller stage than large theatres. And what's prompted it to happen this week of all weeks, Aden?
This week my son is in a production called Grease.
Called Grease, that's me.
Yeah, so hopefully we get it made for them.
If we can get it finished, we'll presumably try and get a few cheeky shots of this on stage, maybe for the dress run. When Aden's happy with the polystyrene form, we go over with our secret sticky back tin foil, and this forms a protective barrier between the polystyrene and the resin going on top. For this job we're going to be giving this a blanket coat of glass fibre as opposed to creating a mould, as moulds are generally used when you're either creating more than one of something that needs a super high finish, or something that needs to be hollow on the inside. As this car doesn't meet any of the above criteria, and with only 2 weeks to go, it's very time consuming and far less cost effective to create a mould in this case. Keeping the polystyrene inside helps serve the project better. This also means we need to use less fiberglass and resin in order to create a hard shell on the outside, as the poly helps keep the strength and that rigidity rather than just an empty shell. This keeps the car nice and light as well, as we don't need to create any excessive structural work. Wait till we soup up the engine and give this baby a paint job. It's gonna run like a champ. We've cleaned up the surface of the blanket coat of glass fibre and gone over with a flow coat of resin in this yellow colour you can see here, which we can sand back so it's relatively smooth to the touch. This helps lose the fiberglass texture and also gives the glass fibre a little added strength. Rocky is being a pain in the backside once again in the studio, acting like he's a member of the team, but actually just distracting everybody left, right and centre. Kevin here, on the other hand, is cutting out sheets of a thin foil for a process that you probably haven't seen us use before. So as this base layer is going to be the dishevelled grease car, the old rust bucket, we've de-aged the surface so that it's still safe to touch and nice and smooth to the hand, but it has got a dishevelled kind of orange peel mottled type surface. But this isn't too bad for the old grease car. And what's the next step of the process you're doing here, Aden?
Well, the next process is really to protect this surface. So I'm using a wallpaper paste here, same stuff you use in domestic and like in your home. I'm painting it onto very quickly, and here I've got a micron thin foil here, non-sticky. It's just micron thin. It's about 3 times thinner than your normal Bako foil that you would wrap your chicken up with. Literally, I'm pasting it on, and it goes on nice and flat, and it just gives me a release barrier like between the two bits of fiberglass. But the good thing about this micro foil, it goes on really thin and it can paste down, so there's no lines at all.
This is essentially creating a protective barrier between the fiberglass panels that we're then going to mould on top of this, and this is so that these can pop off the job, and these nice panels we're going to smoothen up to a really good finish. And this is essentially going to be the part where during the song the grease car is in a kind of dreamlike sequence, is made up to be the car that they always want, and then by the end of it the panels can literally just fall off or pop off the job. And for these side ones we'll probably have them hooking over the side of the door so that everything can hold onto the car properly. And this is how you get the transition between this old rust bucket and the lovely dreamlike grease lightning. Giving it a blanket coat of glass fibre, and we're going to denib it in a bit, aren't we?
I think we'll go and get some lunch now on this very, very hot day.
Yeah.
And then we'll clean it up when we come back.
Burger Palace, boys.
Burger Palace.
Yeah, well, let's just get a nice profile shot. That's nice. The fiberglass panel shell has set, and we've denibbed it to remove any sharp points. We're now going over with a flow coat of resin, this time in white, and the surface is going to be cleaned up considerably more than the yellow layer underneath. This is so these new panels turn out to be a vast improvement once the car transformation begins. This will have 2 applications of a flow coat, so we really lose that fiberglass matte texture. This is then left to cure before we see if our method of thin, low micron foil and wallpaper paste has worked. While the material's setting, Aden's going over other areas of the car like the wheels with a smoother application of flow coat. This time, obviously with the black pigment, this creates a more suitable finish on the tyres. In this next clip you can see how the foil and paste work successfully as a quick release agent between the 2 resin and fiberglass layers. Once again, the fiberglass flash material needs to be trimmed, all the edges neatened up, and this complete white panel broken down into manageable sized sections. For the stage show, the minimum requirement for the male cast of the T-Birds, or the Burger Palace Boys as it is in the show, are for 5 males: Danny, Kaniki, Doody, Roger and Sonny. Naturally many productions include more cast members to beef up numbers like Grease Lightning, but we wanted to make sure this was manageable between the minimum amount of people necessary. With Kaniki already busy singing the song in the show, 1 car panel apiece for the other 4 gang members seemed appropriate and worked out really well in the breakdown. So now Aden's finished all the rusty side of the old Grease Lightning wagon. All these panels are finished and been glossed. We've got a copy of the artwork from the film here that we've printed out to use as our base reference. We might make a couple of Sculpture Studios tweaks. And we're going to go with bold red as opposed to a red outline in silver, just to make it a bit different. Where's the other concept dream art that they had in the film as well? Was the one behind? Yeah, so we're going to go with a kind of cross between that and that by making it a nice bold red for the lightning strikes. It's going to look lovely. I love how these red bits contribute towards the white artwork. and yet when you take the panels off underneath, they don't seem to do anything at all. It's just a horrible rusty bit of red underpaint.
Been growing my hair out especially for the show as well.
Obviously, we're creating this off our own backs and under our own steam. This isn't our usual practice, as the nature of our business is to normally work by commission, but with nobody actually commissioning this job and us essentially making it for ourselves, we're hoping this will eventually pay for itself if we can hire this out in the future. If you'd like to both contribute to our efforts as well as grace your stage with one of our sculptures, please get in contact, as we'd love to hear from you and to see this in your production. We've gone balls to the wall to get this finished for my show next week, adding our own spin on it and making it suitable for not only large but for small scale productions as well. Look at that beaut! We've added a few finishing touches to the car, chrome bits and bobs to make this really catch the light on stage and give it that bling trim factor. It's now time to squeeze this into our transit van, oh thank God that fit, and now it's off to the theatre! Yeah baby, that's what I'm talking about! The car breaks down into two sections and can bolt together on the wooden base on the reverse side of the sculpture. Care needs to be taken when handling the fiberglass, but providing your boys or girls have been well versed in the movement, the construction and the nature of the car's build, this should be manageable between a few people. The car rolls in all directions on casters, and there's even space inside the headlights for a couple of small torches. So if you'd like to hire this for just a few days or a few weeks, get in contact with us at Sculpture Studios. Our contact details can be found on the website or in the description beneath the video. Please feel free to leave any comments below, as they're always appreciated, and hit the subscribe button for our latest videos. You can like Sculpture Studios on Facebook and follow @aden.hynes on Twitter, and for more of our work, visit sculpturestudios.co.uk. Thank you very much for watching.